Welcome to Busch Gardens. I'm Jeff Hornick. I'm the Director of Design Engineering here at Busch Gardens and Adventure Island. I'm also the project manager for the Falcon's Fury project, as well as the Pantopia land renovation. So I'm really excited to have you guys here on the Falcon's Fury job site because we're in the middle of building this enormous tower right behind me. So this is the nation's tallest freestanding drop tower. It's 335 feet tall. Now to put that in perspective, if you look out in the background there, we've got SheiKra. SheiKra is 200 feet tall. If you take SheiKra and then add the Cheetah Hunt Windcatcher Tower on top of that, it's 102 feet tall. And then on top of that, we put the Air Grover roller coaster. This is taller than all of those combined. So anybody who's been on SheiKra before, you know you get some great views and vistas. This one is going to kick it up a notch because not only are you looking now down at SheiKra, but you're looking and surveying the whole area. You'll be able to see downtown Tampa, you'll be able to see St. Petersburg, Orlando, Miami. I mean, you'll be able to see from miles up there. Yeah, exactly. So it's the tallest thing around in the area. So not only are we taking you up 335 feet, but we also are going to be doing something that no one else has done before. When we take you in these seats up to the top, we'll rotate you. So you're going to be looking straight down at the ground before we drop you. So anybody who's been on the anybody who's been over at SeaWorld before and ridden the Manta roller coaster, you'll know that tilts your seats before you're able to ride on the ride. So this will be very similar to that. So you'll sit in your seat on the ground. We've got 32 of these seats in an octagonal fashion around the ride. You'll sit down. It'll pull you up to the very top of the tower. Your eye height will be just under 300 feet. We'll rotate your seats once we get you up to the top. So you'll be looking straight down, nothing above you, nothing below you. Then, just to take it up another notch, we'll hold you there. And we're gonna hold you there for a random amount of time. If you've been on SheiKra before, for SheiKra, you can kind of count down how long it's gonna be before you drop you. This one, every time is gonna be different. We may hold you for 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, who knows? So you're going to be holding up there, and the only thing you're going to hear is your heartbeat, and just waiting to have us drop you. So once you get to the very top, we'll hold you there, we'll let you go, and then gravity is going to take over from that point. Gravity will take you, you'll drop 60 miles per hour. You'll have a free fall for 5 to 6 seconds. So you guys need to go home and scream in your room for like 5 or 6 seconds. That's a long time. You'll have to like catch your breath as you're screaming because it's that long. So
60 miles per hour.
60 miles per hour.
5 to 6 seconds.
5 to 6 seconds.
Death.
Perfect.
I won't say it.
Come on.
That's how I feel.
It's great. So as you're falling, 5 to 6 seconds, and then the ride experience kind of changes a little bit. And as you're falling, it'll be very similar to skydiving. For this ride, I like to say that this is the closest to skydiving without having to step foot on an airplane. Because as you're falling with your arms out and your legs out. And then for skydiving, to slow you down, you got to lift your parachute, right? So when you pull your parachute out, you kind of get kicked back into the seated position. So this will be a very similar experience as you're falling. You'll be up in the prone position, and you're falling. You'll tilt down as you're falling before you hit the brake run. So you'll be falling, tilt, and then hit the brakes. We've got 3.5 G's of braking forces, and that'll be vertically throughout your body.
3.5 G's?
3.5 G's. That's all? That's all.
Oh, is that not enough? Is that disappointed?
3.5 G's of braking force. So there's a lot to that. So really dynamic motion as you're falling. It's going to be unlike anything you guys have ever experienced before. You'll come back down to the ground, you'll leave, and the next people will get right back on the ride. Some other just quick stats and facts and figures. We've got 32 seats in an octagon. Each of these seats is in a group of 4. So those groups of 4 seats are what rotates into that position as you drop. As far as theoretical capacity, we're a little bit under 800 people per hour. Riders, 32 at a time. You'll enter in, you can see behind me, we've got our queue structure, which is going up right now. You'll enter on the left side of the queue structure, you'll queue back and forth, and then you'll enter into rings. We'll have pre-batching rings on either side of the tower. As you're entering in, you'll enter in batches of 4, get into your seats, you'll ride, and then you'll go on your way. What questions do you have about the ride experience?
Will it offer quick queue?
It will not offer quick queue when we first open up.
Okay.
Just because we think this ride's going to have, or it's going to have, an amazing attendance, so we don't want to take from those people who are waiting in line.
Jeff, how do I spell your last name?
Hornick. Sorry, go ahead.
Platinum re-rides event?
Potentially.
How far are we going to free fall before we hit the brake run? What's the vertical distance?
So what you can see on the tower right now is you can see those white fins that are sticking up. Those are our brake fins. So those are metal elements that are sticking on the outside of the tower. Those are what causes the braking sensation. It's an eddy current braking system for the very technical term. It's a magnetic braking system for the less technical term. So it is, it's the same braking system that we have for the Cheetah Hunt roller coaster. So fail-safe system. And you can see, looking up the tower, you can see where the brake fins kind of break away. There's two sets and then it breaks to a single set. The single set of brake fins is about 2/3 of the way up the tower. And that causes our pre-braking sequence. And the pre-braking sequence is what causes your seats to rotate back to the seated position. Then once those parallel brake fins catch the ride vehicle, that's when it brakes all the way down. So you can see about halfway up the tower, a little bit less than halfway up the tower is when you're going to be hitting the heavy brakes in the ride.
Okay, so about the first 100 to 150 feet is face down.
So give you a good perspective of what we got there. The yellow band is 100 feet tall. So perspective's kind of skewed, right? It looks like it's more than that, but that's 100 feet. And you can see just above that 100 feet is where our second set of brake fins come into play. So you're about halfway down the tower. So about 150 is probably a good guesstimate.
So you free fall for about 150 feet, and you guys.
I would say you'd free fall for 5 to 6 seconds. That's probably the best
estimate. Okay.
best estimate of the ride experience.
And you stay angled the whole time as you're going down, even when
You stay angled 2/3 of the way, or so about 1/3 of the way down from the top, or 2/3 of the way up. Once you hit that pre-braking sequence, that's when the seats rotate to the seated position. So pre-brake, rotate, and then it hits the braking sequence from that part down. Yes.
And you said there was a random times for how long you be up there waiting.
Yes.
You know the minimum, maximum.
We don't know. No, so one of the fun parts of our job is that we get to be the test dummies, so to speak. So we get to ride it, we want to hone in on what the perfect amount of time is. We want enough time so you get the good views and enough time to think about your life before you drop, but not too long that we can hold you up there for a long period of time.
How far along are we, or what's left?
So where we're at right now is the tower is completely assembled. We just put the very top cap of the ride up there. Next step is that we're going to be taking this crane away, and we're going to be working on all of the electrical components on the inside of the tower. So running all the wires, getting all the terminations. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to have the ride manufacturer come here and start all of their ride testing and commissioning. Then they hand us the keys, and then we do our own owner testing and commissioning before we have anybody ride. So and that includes all of the test dummies, all of the biodynamic testing, all the brake testing, and all of that.
Cap went on when?
The cap went on over the weekend.
How's it going to handle wind?
So we live in Florida, right? So to withstand all of the hurricane force winds, we have to have a massive foundation. So what you don't see on the ground there is we have 105 H-piles, and they're just these big steel beams that out on the ground. And we've got a 5.5 inch thick pile cap on top of that of concrete. So just concrete in this hole. And then this base tube down here, what you see is the very top, 12 feet or so, but down in the ground that goes to for another about 20 feet down in the ground. So a lot of foundation, a lot of concrete. The steel on the ride is 3.5 inches thick at the base. So super, super thick steel. It tapers once you get to the top, but even at the top, there's still a pretty good amount of steel around it. So there's only a handful of companies around the world that can bend and weld plate steel like that. So we found a company over in Spain, in Tarragona, Spain, that were able to manufacture all these tube segments and then ship them over here. So we had over 1 million pounds of tube steel that we shipped over here from Spain. It took about a month to get here by boat. So as far as the winds go, the tower is also designed to move. We want the tower to be able to bend, not break. So once you look up at the very top of the tower, during high wind days, that tower can bend up to 3 feet in any direction. So if you come out here like on a really windy day, you can look at the base tower and you can see a little bit of movement up at the very top, but it's 3 feet's a significant amount.
With something this tall, what are the evac procedures if people got stuck at the top?
So the great thing about this ride is that The only thing that we have to drop you is gravity, and gravity doesn't change. So we've got a ride vehicle with 32 seats, and on top of that is a catch car. And the catch car is what holds the ride vehicle and pulls it up into place, and then it releases it. So if we have some type of a circumstance where we have like a power outage and it stops halfway up the tower, we can release the ride vehicle at any height, and it'll drop down and break like anything else.
You said that it could withstand
Hurricane force winds.
Category 1, so just hurricane force.
It's hurricane force winds. It's just like any structure or element that you build in the Tampa Bay area. We're following all those codes.
Alright, like it was okay.
Speaking to the wind aspect of it, I know that if it's like thunder and lightning, it'll probably be a closed attraction.
Yep.
But in high winds, is it something that can still run?
It'll have all the same winds, lightning, and weather restrictions that all of our roller coasters do.